The Last Voyage of the Demeter is based on a short chapter of Bram Stoker's Dracula, but packs a horrifying punch. Let's get into the reason why the cast was too afraid to even look at the demonic Dracula, how the massive ship was built completely from the ground up, and how much intense training went into being able to man a ship through a storm. Something really cool about this movie is they tried to keep everything as practical as they could. All of the effects, the intense storms, the wind, and of course the horrific Dracula, more on that later, were all done practically.
They haven't spared anything trying to kill us on board during storms and stuff.
I'm honestly impressed everyone managed to make it out in one piece.
I don't know how. I really should call my agent, or at least my psychiatrist.
There was a lot of pressure on the performers to deliver because of the insane amount of huge names behind the film. One you might recognize, Steven Spielberg. His company is actually the one making the film.
Big hitters, so we have to deliver the goods.
Overall though, everyone did have quite the adventure on set. They said if even 1/3 of their experience ends up on the screen, they have a fine movie on their hands. Another element to account for here is the narrative depiction of Dracula. This is the most terrifying he's ever been portrayed in the history of media.
There's never been a story about Dracula as scary as The Last Voyage of the Demeter.
David Dastmalchian, who plays Voyage, believes that in every other depiction of Dracula, the scary, horrific aspect of him has always been the one thing that's missing. He's always depicted in this cool, erotic, philosophical way, and they wanted to veer off a little bit from that. They really amped up the horror to give his character the terrifying justice it deserves. It all starts off with the woman he kidnaps and imprisons on the ship to use as his personal blood bank for the month. The crew rescues her, and that starts off a terrifying chain of events. And this chain of events depicted genuine fear among the cast. The practical effects on this set were truly no joke. The storms were created with wind and rain machines, but the real kicker was Dracula. He's not depicted as some good-looking, tortured soul like in every other Dracula movie. No, the dude looks like a hideous monster. I know I mentioned before that everything on this set was done with practical effects, but I just want to reiterate that Javier Botet was inside the Dracula suit giving his castmates nightmares.
And I got a fright not just in one take, but over and over.
Everyone was genuinely scared of Javier in this Dracula suit. People were saying he was super hard to look at. So yeah, that fear in everyone's eyes, it's not acting. So what exactly made Javier Botet so terrifying? Well, he's no stranger to this type of work. He's scared the crap out of people in movies like Mama, Insidious 2, Crimson Peak, and Slender Man. So this Dracula suit is no exception. He's so calculated and professional with the way he moves his body. He truly does become the character. Even though everyone on set knows it's him, they can't help but be terrified every single time.
The way he moves, the way he turns his neck, the detail in this movie is so key.
How much training do you think it takes to be able to man a cargo ship during a simulated thunderstorm? Actually, quite a lot. The cast had to complete a sailing boot camp before filming started. David Dastmalchian had the upper hand in the situation because he used to be a professional fisherman in his early 20s. He was excellent when it came to balancing on the ship, but he couldn't get a handle on the knot tying portion of the training. He says he can barely tie his own shoes, let alone a professional ship knot. Liam Cunningham cleverly managed to get out of the rope tying exercise. He was asked by the instructors, "Do you want to go up and start pulling the sails up?" And that sounded a bit too much like work to me, and I went, nah, he wouldn't do it. He's the captain. He doesn't pull ropes. So he just got to hang out on the sidelines with a nice glass of wine as he watched his castmates struggle through the exercise and leave with a palm full of blisters. Obviously, I have to talk about the ship. You would think they would use a bit of CGI or visual effects, but there was actually not 1 ounce of that involved. They built the ship from the ground up, as one big piece so the actors could live in it and get used to their surroundings. They also wanted the feel of the ship to be really old and gritty, so they had people go over every inch of it and sand it down to make it look worn, dirty, and used. The boat required a ton of space to create, what they refer to as spatial tension and unreliable environments that the actors would be truly scared in. They wanted to create a world where you never would know exactly which corner Dracula is creeping around. I would say they definitely hit the nail on the head with that one. After one too many jump scares, a handful of blisters, and getting drenched by rain on an eerie cargo ship all day, the cast and crew of The Last Voyage of the Demeter delivered a powerful, terrifying feat. What's your favorite thing about this depiction of Dracula?